Here's how to get executives to buy in to your ideas. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of Morning Fewell. This is where I walk through the latest thoughts and ideas about work and business and projects and products while we get a little bit of morning fuel into our system. I'm a coffee person, maybe you're a tea person. Either way, let's get rocking. That'll jolt the intellectual engine. Okay, so here's what is on the docket today. I talked to a lot of project managers, product managers, program managers who are just really dying to get the big bosses on board with their ideas and their suggestions, their initiatives. You know what we need? We need to roll out the OKRs methodology. You know what? We need more agility in this organization. And you know what? We should roll out an AI strategy. If only the executives were on board. If only we could get their attention for just 5 minutes. They don't get it. But if they listen to me, then they will get it. If only it were that simple. If you're finding yourself alone, unsupported, without senior leadership giving you air cover, giving you resources, giving you verbal, vocal, visible support, it's probably because of a few misalignments. So here's tip number 1. Stop selling your ideas. Start aligning to your boss's ideas. I know, it's annoying. Their ideas are wrong. Their ideas are misinformed. They don't get the reality on the ground. They're out of touch. Maybe you can help with that. Stop selling, start aligning. It was a key element of the book. Over there. Yeah. Here's what I mean by stop selling. So here's what selling is. Selling is me sharing with you my idea. You might be interested, but I'm really going to try to persuade you to come on board to my thing. And here's the problem with selling my ideas and my approaches to the boss, the executive, whoever your sponsor is that you're trying to get on board. The problem is, sometimes, if you're trying to sell, people might not buy. This may not go very well for you very often. I find so many professionals, so many managers who are trying to advocate for doing the right thing, but for some reason it's just not landing. Here's the thought: because it's your idea. Nobody cares that it's your idea. What they care about is whether you're on board with their ideas and their perspective. Here's instead what we mean by alignment. What we mean by alignment is that you engage in a dialogue. First, listen to what the executives, the leadership, the management is really concerned about. Because the majority of the time, they're well-intentioned people trying to do a good job themselves. They have goals that they're held accountable to. Maybe one of their goals is to improve market share. Maybe one of their goals is to expand into a new market. Maybe one of their goals is to add more innovation into the pipeline. If you're not paying attention to what your management's held accountable to, then you're not aligned. And if you're not aligned, then you're not relevant in their worldview. So engage in dialogue. So that way, instead of getting a no thanks, you might get, an interesting. Now, I know what you're saying, Jesse, that's just not inspiring. That's not at all what motivates me to have a positive impact, to be a change maker at the office. I don't want to just show up and collect a paycheck and do whatever my boss says and not have positive impact. I agree. So here's what I'd like to invite you to do. Draw 2 circles, overlapping, and ask yourself, what is it that you want to see change in the workplace? And what is it that your leadership wants to see change in the workplace? Is it more productivity that they want, but you want more sustainable pace? Is it that they want a more aggressive delivery, but you want more quality? Well, already you can see there's probably not as much overlap in those situations as would benefit the organization. This happens a lot where leaders and staff are not on the same page. They haven't engaged in alignment and dialogue. So draw these two circles and then fill it in. Fill it in with what you want to see. Maybe it's more empowerment, more craftsmanship on how good work is done. Maybe it is that sustainable pace, more collaboration. You want a positive work environment. Well, leadership generally wants that too, but they're held accountable to some other things. Have you listened to them? Have you talked to them? Have you, at the town hall meetings, read the newsletters? Fill in that box. And here's what you're going to find. You're going to find that there are three general categories. You want to put your efforts into what leadership wants. It's quite literally your job. It's quite literally your job to amplify the organization within the vision, the mandates, the strategies that your leadership is held accountable to. It's going to take effort. So you're going to re-energize with those things that you have in common. Maybe what you have in common is a conviction for modern best practice, like that OKR's methodology, maybe a little bit of agility as well thrown in there for good measure, or maybe some hybrid project management. Whatever it is that you can find as common ground, that's where you energize. What you don't want to do is you don't want to be in the red zone fighting for things that only you want. You will be alone for a long time. You want your leadership to support you supporting them in that green zone there where there's overlap. So you're going to be exerting a lot of effort in things that you don't like. Oh, I don't want to do more TPS reports. And ew, I don't want to do all the financials. It's not interesting. It might be what they're looking for. However, you might find an opportunity to quantify the economic value, the economic impact of value creation. Ooh, let's go to value-based metrics. Let's go to outcomes over outputs in our OKRs. Now you can find some common ground. So hopefully, this is what I wanted to share with you today. Stop selling, start aligning with what your leadership wants, and then suddenly you're going to find them a little bit more amenable. You're going to find them a little bit more interested in the ideas. So it's less about getting executives to buy in with what you want, because then they may not buy. Instead, align to their vision, their mandates, their accountabilities. Find a way to help them. Here's a story. A buddy of mine is working at a large technology firm that's struggling right now in the face of the AI movement. Just announced 50% layoffs across the board. Public information, but I'm still not telling you. Some of you might be able to figure out what I'm talking about. So he sent an email to the CEO at this company they both work at saying, hey, I've done a few turnarounds in my day. I may not have all the answers, but I'm here to help. That email was forwarded over to HR, who happened to be forming a task force on the turnaround strategies, and he happened to bring a couple of ideas that were already being discussed at that level. He had the right timing, he had the right narrative, because he was aligning to what the executives were feeling pain over at the moment. So do like my colleague. Align to what your executives already have in mind. That's where you can help. That's how you get support, is when you can find the areas where there's overlap between what you want and what they want. That's today's episode of Morning Fewell. You get executives to buy in when you start to align. See you next time.